Blue Wildcats, and welcome to another episode of Friday First, where I will be presenting a new book for you to taste, a little bit of a book for grades 2nd through 5th. If you've noticed, I've kind of been going up the Lexile levels each week, introducing a book that's a little bit higher than the last. So next week, I will be starting again kind of low for my 2nd and 3rd graders and moving my way back up again. So today I have a book called Chasing Vermeer. It is by an artist that I love so much. Her name is Blue Balliet. It was illustrated by Brett Hellquist. Yes, this is another one of those chapter books that does have some illustrations in it. Fabulous book, fabulous author. She has a series of these books. This is just the first book where we're introduced to the characters in this book. The Lexile level is 770, so this is appropriate for independent reading for my 4th and 5th grade readers. It is an excellent book for a read aloud for my 3rd grade. I actually read this to a 2nd grade class one year, and they absolutely loved it. So the story is great for lots of ages, young and old, but the reading level is best suited for those 4th, 5th, and 6th graders. So this book is, I love her books because she combines art and literature, sometimes a little bit of math. This one in particular is a little bit of geometry, although you don't have to do any math to enjoy this book. But it's a great book. There's even some little puzzles and things going on inside the story that you'll love to read. So, without further ado, I'm going to give you the first taste of this book by reading the first chapter only to see if you might be interested in picking up one of Blue Balliet's books, particularly Chasing Vermeer. Here we go. Chapter 1, 3 Deliveries. On a warm October night in Chicago, 3 deliveries were made in the same neighborhood. A plump tangerine moon had just risen over Lake Michigan. The doorbell had been rung at each place, and an envelope left propped outside. Each front door was opened to an empty street. Each of the 3 people who lived in those homes lived alone, and each had a hard time falling asleep that night. The same letter went out to all 3. Dear friend, I would like your help in identifying a crime that is now centuries old. This crime has wronged one of the world's greatest painters. As those in position of authority are not brave enough to correct this error, I have taken it upon myself to reveal the truth. I have chosen you because of your discriminating eye, your intelligence, and your ability to think outside of convention. If you wish to help me, you will be amply rewarded for any risks that you take. You may not show this letter to anyone. 2 other people in the world have received this document tonight. Although you may never meet, the 3 of you will work together in ways none of us can predict. If you show this to the authorities, you will most certainly be placing your life in danger. You will know how to respond. I congratulate you on your pursuit of justice. The letter was not signed, and it had no return address. The man had sat down to a late dinner. He liked to read when he ate, and he was on page 4 of a new novel. Book in hand, he answered the door. His spaghetti and meatballs were cold by the time he remembered them. He sat at the table for a long time, looking first at the letter and then at the moon. Was this a joke? Who would go through the trouble of writing and sending such a letter? It was printed on expensive stationery, the kind you buy if you want to be impressive or pretentious. Should he feel flattered? Suspicious? What did this person want from him? What kind of reward were they talking about? And who was it who knew him well enough to know that he'd say yes? That's one of the first people who received the letter. A woman tossed and turned in her bed, her long hair trapping moonlight against the pillows. She was going over lists of names in her mind. The more she thought, the more agitated she became. She was not amused. Could this be a coincidence, or was it a clever warning? What exactly did this person know about her past? She finally got up. A cup of hot milk would calm her nerves. She moved carefully in the dark, using the watery rectangles of light that fell across the floor. She wasn't about to turn on the kitchen light. The names scrolled in tidy columns through her mind, each group belonging to a different chapter in her life. There was Milan. There was New York. There was Istanbul. But this was an invitation, not a threat. If things got strange or frightening, she could always change her mind. Or could she? Second person who received the letter. Here's a third. Another woman lay awake under the moon, listening to the wind and occasional whine of a police siren. This was one of the weirdest coincidences ever. Was this letter insane or inspired? And was she just being gullible, thinking this person was really writing to her? Maybe hundreds of these letters had gone out. Had her name been picked out of a phone book? Fake or not, the letter was intriguing. A centuries-old crime. What could this person be planning? What about the spooky part? If you show this to the authorities, you'll most certainly be placing your life in danger. Maybe this was a maniac, one of those serial killers. She pictured the police going through her apartment and finding the letter, standing over her body and saying, "Geez, she should have called us first thing. She could have been alive today." A lone cat yelled in the alley behind her bedroom, and she jumped, her heart pounding. Sitting up in her bed, she shut the window and locked it. How could she not say yes? This was a letter that could alter history. And that's the end of chapter 1. And if you look in the picture here, I'm not sure whether you can see it from there, there's 3 small pictures of the 3 people who received the letter. However, they're all in shadow, and none of them are very clear, so you don't realize who they are. Even as you start reading the story and introduced to different characters, you don't really know who these people are right away. This is, like I said, a fabulous book, and it even starts off with mystery. It is a bit of a mystery book. It's really good. There's actually a couple other things I want to tell you about this book, okay? I'm going to read to you the little front flap here. It says, about pentanamos in this story. A set of pentanamos is a mathematical tool consisting of 12 pieces. Each piece is made up of 5 squares that share at least one side. Pentanamos are used by mathematicians around the world to explore ideas about geometry and numbers. This is what the set looks like. You might even have played with some in your classroom. It says pentanamos are named for letters in the alphabet. Although they don't look exactly like their names, they're kind of close. With a little practice, they can be used as puzzle pieces and put together into thousands of different rectangles of different sizes and shapes. This book begins, like a lot of pentanamos, with separate pieces. Eventually, they will all come together. Don't be fooled by ideas that seem, at first, to fit easily. Don't be fooled by ideas that don't seem to fit at all. Pentanamos, like people, can surprise you. So she's giving you a bit of a hint. So at the beginning of the story, you're going to get lots of little pieces, and eventually you got to figure out how those pieces fit together to solve the mystery. And one more thing, there's a challenge as you read. And the challenge says, if you look carefully at the illustrations in each chapter, you will find a hidden message. It's related to the pentanamo code in the book, so there's a code in the book, but not presented in exactly the same form. A certain living creature plays a part in deciphering the code, and pieces of the message appear in the artwork at regular intervals that create a pattern within the book. Here's a hint. The pattern is even, but odd. It has as many pieces as a set of pentanamos. And you can figure out what the puzzle is while you read the book. I had a lot of fun figuring out the puzzle the very first time I picked up this book. Like I said, I just really, really love this book. I encourage you to pick it up and read it. This book is in our library, available for checkout. We have another book, a couple other books by Blue Balliet in the library. I have not seen, I thought I bought the sequels to this, but I haven't seen them yet, but hopefully they're in there somewhere, and if not, I'll have to get them. But definitely check out this book. I have talked way too long. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Friday First, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye.